Hello, everyone. I'm Bridget Cook-Burch with Inspired Legacy Publishing. I'm so excited to introduce you to our beautiful author, Ramona Baxter, and her incredible book. So we're going to give her an opportunity to tell you all about it. So Ramona, what's the name of your book?
Okay, here we go. Fairytales and Street Fights.
Fairytales and Street Fights. And tell us a little bit about it.
Well, first of all, I came up with the name because for me, life is akin to a street fight. You know, a lot of times, most of the times, I didn't know what I was doing. It's about having the grit to keep getting up. Last one standing wins. So that's where I came up with the name.
The last one standing wins. And if someone were to hear that, they might not know about your incredible heart, though, too, which is part of the fairy tale aspect as well.
No,
so you have this beautiful pendulum swing of life. Tell us, is there a particular life event where you just said, I have to write a book. I have to write about this?
Yes. I've never dreamed of being an author. I never considered myself a writer. I am now, thanks to working with you and Hannah. But I had a 20-year addiction to alcohol. And by the grace of God, it was lifted through a miracle in my life. And that's what prompted me to write my life story. I'm writing to a reader that is no stranger to intense emotional pain. I shine a light on my most shameful experiences to proclaim that our pain, although it can be crippling at times, in retrospect, can offer insight and solutions. You know, we never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And I know for myself, anytime I held on to the identity of being a victim, I gave away my power. I lost. So I want my readers to know that no matter how far they may have fallen, we all have the strength to rise again and forge a path for self-acceptance and love and empathy.
Which is fantastic. One of the things I love is that, we would be working on chapters and there would be, some places of intense pain and the overcoming of it, which, as you know, I love, the vulnerability to be able to rise again. I also love that your sense of humor is prevalent throughout this book, not just in the title, but also in the book. Tell us how important humor has been in your life.
Oh, it's survival, right? When we can truly heal from something, we take away the aspect of ever feeling like a victim, and we can talk about it through humor and what we've learned. That's been one of my favorite things about writing this book is I've been able to go back and offer insight that I wish I could have given myself, throughout the various chapters in my life. But knowing what I know now, it's been really wonderful to see I call them life gifts that I obtained through my darkest hours, through my hardest trials. It gives you empathy and insight and courage.
Which is fun. And through humor.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, would you tell us a little bit about when you utilized a particular stimulant that helped you to be able to start a school and to do a number of projects?
Many years back, there was a groundbreaking diet regimen, Fentanyl, and I found a doctor that would give it to anybody. And after I had been on it 3 or 4 months, I heard on the news one night that it was causing heart problems. While I was taking it, it made me feel like this gladiator that was unstoppable. I'd be mowing my lawn and then I would just keep going right across and start mowing my neighbor's lawn. I was like the Energizer bunny on steroids. So when they took this off the market, I couldn't even handle it. And I got on an airplane, I flew to San Diego, took a trolley into Tijuana. I stocked up on 2 years worth of phentermine and fenfluramine. I came up with a little plan where I had a full-length girdle on, and I put all the pills in little Ziploc bags, and I put them inside this girdle and made myself look about 7 months pregnant. I'm finally getting back to the airport, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm about to smuggle drugs on an airplane. And thank goodness this was before 9/11. And the woman at the desk, she just smiled, this sympathetic smile. I thought, oh, God bless you for not arresting me. And I got onto the airplane and got them home. And by the way, that was one of the many stupidest things I've ever done. But that was.
But it shows the links that can happen in addiction. Because
Yes.
here you were, this
Mother of four.
with a very respectable job, and all of a
And
sudden
I'm smuggling
the
drugs
addiction
on an
took you.
airplane. Yes, yes. That little diet regimen started, an addiction that lasted for a long time. And then once stress came into my life and I added alcohol at a more dangerous level on top of that, and those things you think, looking back, I would have told myself, Ramona, do you want to get through this crisis, or do you want to stay in your crisis? Because the way I was coping kept me stuck right where I was. It wasn't helping me through anything. So if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would have said, you take 100% of the pain and the terror and the fear of what you're going through, you take it head on. Because if you do, you will get through it, and you'll be a stronger person for having gotten through it. Making those choices that I made changed the trajectory of my life. And it took me a long time to get back on the right course again. So you think that it's not going to be that big of a deal to drink too much while you're getting through this challenging time. Yes, I'm here to say that it does. It changes your life, and it doesn't get you through anything. It keeps you stuck right where you are. We're all in this together. We're all here to support each other, and they are never alone. And it all has to begin with us. The beliefs we have about ourselves emit a real energy. And if we want to have someone in our lives that cherishes and adores us, we first have to cherish and adore ourselves. We attract people that support the beliefs we have about ourselves, positive or negative. So it's so important to recognize that, and recognize that beliefs emit an energy, and that belief is what attracts the various people we have in our lives. So we can't say, this person is doing this to me. It has to start with us. We have to have that self-love and self-respect. And when we have that energy, we'll attract people that support that energy.
You have a place of storytelling in your book, and then you also have this voice of a superpower. Will you tell us about that?
Well, when my addiction was lifted, it really was like going from a life of black and white to a life of color. I still feel like Superman. And it's been really fun to share my insights. I have these some of them really messed up stories, and it's like, wow. But then at the end of that chapter, I've been able to go back and take accountability for what was happening at the time, and just recognizing that, number one, going through those hard times made me who I am today, and number two, I wasn't a victim to anything. I put myself in those situations, and anytime I thought, this person is doing this to me, I should have been saying, I'm doing this to me. No one had a gun to my head. I was making those decisions. I was in full control, even though I didn't think that at the time.
I would love to know from you, and I'd love our readers to be able to know too, is what surprised you in writing this book?
Well, first of all, I was not going to claim it. I remember me telling you, Bridget, no one will know I ever wrote this. I am not going to, no one is going to know this was me. And about halfway through, I kind of had a breakthrough in realizing that if I want to share my insight and help even one person, I've got to be willing to claim this. I've got to be willing to say, yes, this was me. Yeah, I did that. And so I think that was the biggest thing that surprised me in writing this book, is the breakthrough I had for being willing to claim it. And now my children have read it, so that's a hard, they all still speak to me, and so it's okay. It's okay, I'm good with it.
I think in the beginning, saying this is going to be fictionalized and I'm not going to put my name to it gave you courage to begin to write.
Yes.
But it was beautiful to watch you unfold.
I think it helped me realize all the gifts that I have acquired through, writing these stories. I hadn't thought about some of this stuff for years and years, but I realized the different strengths that I acquired through some of the trials that I did go through. And, I found that in my own life, I've never done anything right the first time, not one thing. And it's all been kind of baptism by fire. And so when I see in my life that I got the same lesson so many times over and over and over, and that's the funny thing about life, is that it will allow us to fall as far as we need to before we can humble ourselves and decide, this isn't working for me. I need a better way. And hindsight, 2020, right? I can see in writing my life stories, I can see how many times I did get the same lesson over and over until I chose a better way. And through taking accountability and asking forgiveness, for everything that I put my children through and various people that I have loved throughout my life, taking accountability and asking for their forgiveness was huge, and there wasn't one person that didn't respond with love and kindness. And I think a lot of times we think it's other people that trip us up in life, and it's been my experience that is so not true. It's our own actions, it's our own willingness to be accountable that set us free. Waiting for an apology from anyone else would have kept me a hostage. Being accountable and seeking forgiveness is what set me free every time.
What would you want the reader to have an understanding of both the street fights and the fairy tales? What do you want them to know about this book before they plunge in?
Oh, well, just the realization that life never stays the same. It's always moving, it's always changing. We never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And so in our hardest times, in our most challenging times, we need to remember that. And gratitude will save us every time. I'm a big time journaler, and every single day I journal about what I'm grateful for and really what I still need to create, but from an aspect of already having it, of being grateful for those things. And because it's hard to move forward in your life if you don't even know what you're moving towards. And so setting goals and really getting clear about what you want, instead of dwelling on what you don't have, being clear on what you want. That's when the magic happens.
And I noticed that at a certain point, you became really fascinated in personal development. And so you've always been a go-getter, type A personality, goal setter, but then there became a shift. What was that shift?
I had adapted the identity of being a victim. And you would think that that would be easy to get rid of because it's negative, it doesn't feel good. But that was not my experience. You know, sometimes we can be holding on to something so tight that we, you know, to let go of that, who am I now? You know, if I'm not a victim, who am I? And so it can leave you feeling quite insecure. And so getting rid of that belief system was hard work. And it didn't happen overnight, but if you want something bad enough, you stick with it. And now that is my belief system. I don't even have to question it. You know, that it's just who I am. And that was a beautiful thing.
You came to know that there was a greater force on the planet.
Yes.
So you had lived under a certain belief system and had kind of eschewed that and walked away. Mm-hmm. And then you came back to recognizing that there was something bigger. Will you tell us a little about that?
The way I was raised, I'm not pointing at any particular religion, but the way I was raised was very sober and kind of guilt-ridden and things like that. And coming to realize that there is a higher power that loves me, but it is all about us. Whatever we choose is right because we choose it. You know, we don't have, no one else has a right to tell us the path that we should take in life. You know, that was huge for me, and that's something that I passed on to my children. Whatever my children choose is right because they choose it. I don't have the right to choose their path. And we get to find the things that resonate with who we are as human beings. And and it's not a one size fits all. You know, if it were, we would all be the same, and we're not. And so
how glorious it is that we're not.
That freedom to choose. And I feel loved and accepted in every situation I'm in now, and every group of people that I choose to meet with. I feel loved and accepted, and they have nothing to do with it. That religion has nothing to do with it. I feel loved and accepted because I love and accept myself. And that again, it has to start from within.
What is one last thing you would really love the reader to know about you and about you inside of this book?
The final thing I would like to say is we all just have this one life. And if your life is anything but remarkable or exactly what you would choose, then you have the power to change it. It all begins with us. And the first thing you can do is just change the way you see the world. You know, when you see the world is what it is, and you can choose to see it through rose-colored lenses. And when you have the old saying, when you change the way you see the world you see changes. That's very true. It all has to do with the energy that we're emitting. So begin with yourself and know that you are worthy of anything you want to experience, and especially joy and happiness. That's very obtainable just by how we choose to see others.
Wonderful. So ladies and gentlemen, Fairytales and Street Fights, the most delicious, delicious pendulum swing of life. And we invite you to read it, to enjoy it, to share it with others. Ramona, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you,
This
Bridget.
has been wonderful.
That was a pleasure.